What's up, guys? Welcome to the UFC Jacksonville preview show. I'm your host, Ryan Galloway, and joining me today is Low Kick MMA site manager Jordan Ellis.
Hi guys.
So first, I want to get into the UFC 249, that just happened last weekend. I want to get your thoughts on it first. What did you think of the event?
The event as a whole was good. I think there was a notable difference. I think every big fight would have been better with fans in there. I can just imagine how crazy everyone would be going if Justin Gaethje was putting that beat on Tony, and there's just fans actually there watching it. But then it was also quite intriguing, when like someone like Hardy's picking up on the commentators' advice and just things like that. So it was interesting, but I'd obviously prefer it with the fans. But it was still a great event nonetheless.
I noticed when the fighters were fighting, you could hear every blow and stuff. I thought that was cool. But like you said, it would have been elevated by having the crowd there cheering along and whatnot. And like you brought up, the commentators giving the fighters like advice during fights. I don't know how it's going to work because I'm pretty sure it was Carla Esparza who was saying backstage after that she was listening to DC's commentary and making adjustments inside the fight about what he said. Same with Hardy in the post-Octagon interview or whatever. He spoke about that too. So I think that's going to be a real problem if they continue doing these kinds of events going forward,
I think it's just one of them things where you've just got to accept it's going to happen. There's no crowd. It's not ideal situation. So if the worst thing that happens is someone gets a bit of advice that you shouldn't be getting, so be it. The one thing about no fans as well is that there weren't many of them. But when there was a boring fight, it was really boring because there was literally nothing to entertain you. So there was a couple in there where it was just like it felt worse than what it actually was. But I think we just don't have to deal with it. I'd rather have things like this happen, not actually having an event at all. So yeah, it's just gonna have to happen, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, usually I'm not a fan of the crowd like booing fighters when the fight's not so entertaining. But I realize now that it helps suppress the action, and keep you entertained. Whereas when there's nothing going on and people are on screen and just not doing a lot, it's very boring, like you said.
Yeah, and it also pressures the referee to like make something happen. Like if the fans aren't happy, then the ref feels pressured, and then it makes for a better fight. And but it was still a great event, very very good event, and it was pleasure to watch. So I'm looking forward to breaking it down now.
So where do you want to start? You want to start at the top, main event, and go down?
No, I want to start with Bryce Mitchell. I just think obviously last time we were speaking, I was saying I'm not overly hyped for that fight. It's probably one of the.
He proved us wrong.
Though I wouldn't. I was high on him, but the actual fight, I didn't think much of it, and it was just watching how good he actually is was ridiculous. And halfway through commentary, like, Charles Rosa, he's a BBJ black belt. And I was just like, what? Just getting dominated like this. He went for about 10 twisters, and yeah, I just wanted to give him a shout out because he was very very good, and I'm actually really excited to see how far he can go because he's 25 years old. He's dominating guys like that who are high level jiu-jitsu guys on the floor. He's going for a million twisters. He's very exciting. So just shout out to Bryce. Brilliant fight.
Yeah, I mean, the twister is not an easy submission to put on, like, by any means. And he, multiple times, just forced him into the position. Like, from the back, he set up that position and multiple times had it. I don't know how he didn't tap that one time where it looked like he had it fully locked up and he was bending him in half. And he didn't tap. So props to Rosa for not tapping there. But his dominance in the grappling really showed. And I think I really doubted him going into this. I was curious how he would be tested by someone with the grappling like Rosa. And we've just seen that he's up there with the best, and he was very dominant. I'd like to see him go in against someone like a Ryan Hall, really, like a high-level grappler. I think that'd be awesome to watch, like just the grappling exchanges between two of them. But yeah, bright future for Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah, props to Rose as well, because it's almost worse to lose like that than actually just get sparked out, because he was just, every round was a 10-8 and he just kept fighting, kept defending. He weren't going to win the fight, but he just stayed in it. So it takes a lot of heart to do something like that. So I'm looking forward to see him come back as well, because I'm sure he won't be in too many dull fights if he's that tough.
Absolutely, yeah. And so the next thing I want to touch on the card, I'm trying to go up backwards now since we started at the bottom. Oh, the Vicente Luque versus Nico Price fight. I told you it was going to be fight of the night, and it was up there. I would have given it fight of the night if I was giving out the bonuses. Although Tony versus Gaethje was very good. But that fight was a war, man. I didn't think Price had it in him to give Vicente Luque such hard trouble, you know. But Luque did win, obviously. But I thought it was like pretty back and forth for a lot of the time, you know.
Yeah, I was watching and I was thinking he's in the fight price, but he was just too easy to hit at the end. He was too open. He was too just available for Luque, and in the end, it was going to pay off. But he's a tough bastard, and he's taking it all. And Luque's just never in a dull fight, so he's just always exciting to watch. And he's 28, and I think people forget that he's only 28, so he can go as far as he wants. It's just his style is just. He's always guaranteed to be one of the fights of the night, and yeah, he was again. And in the end, it was a beautiful knockout, and it was Gilbert Burns has been posting out saying it's exactly the same as one he pulled off on Damian Maia because they're from the same trainer, and it was beautiful. And I just can't wait to watch Luque fight again, and I hope he's able to not change his style but just fine tune it so he can actually reach the top level, because there's so much talent there. It'd be a shame to see him just be taking too much punishment and not be able to actually reach the higher levels, which I think he can.
Who would you like to see him in there against next?
It's hard, isn't it? It depends.
Has he
if
faced
someone like
Jeff Neal yet?
I think he might have. I know Price has. Jeff Neal, someone like that. If Maya's still hanging about, just someone on that level. I know Ponzinibbio has been looking for a fight for a while. So just anyone close to top level, somewhere between 5 and 10, he should be taking on. But he needs a run of wins, like, because he did get absolutely outclassed by Wonderboy. So there is a level where he needs to make the jump. But no matter what, he looked brilliant. It's just, can he make that jump? I said he'd be a level above Price, and he was. But there's a couple more levels he needs to get to.
So I don't know where he is in the rankings, but how would you like a Robbie Lawler versus Luque?
Yeah, I think Lawler's about 11. I think so. So that'd just be absolute carnage, and I think that's probably the fight to make. Like, it's. I think Robbie's still got it. He can still take someone like Luque out. So that's a great test. It's a great name, and it could be like his coming out party if he actually is able to get a win over Lawler. Because I don't think a lot, like, people in the MMA world are paying attention, but no one outside it really knows who Luque is. So if he can beat someone like Lawler, that'll be massive for him.
Yeah. So the next one after that was the next one I want to speak about is the Werdum's return against Alexei Olenek. And I was completely wrong with this, because I said that Werdum was going to have the advantage on the feet, and he was going to piece him up, and his grappling would be on par, and it would even each other out, which I guess the grappling I might have been sort of right on. But on the feet, Olenek was piecing him up. I was so confused, you know?
Yeah, like, this was one of my biggest things. I think we both went quite hard on it. We were both like, I just don't see how Olenek can win. But I did also say Werdum's coming off a 2-year ban for steroids, so
it was a different Werdum.
People don't come. Yeah, he was different. He didn't look great. He was poor, really. I thought he'd get found out in the next fight against a high level guy, but literally from the start of the bell, he lost that fight, and I don't know really where he goes from here, unless he can blame it on ring rust and things like that. But he's just being beat by like a 40 odd year old man he's not, and he got beat on the feet as well, and that's not even all strength. So yeah, it's a bit sad for the dude, because he was so high. He's literally got a massive win over Cain Velasquez, and then he's getting beat like that. So yeah, I don't know about him now. That was one of the boring fights as well. That weren't one of the most exciting fights. I think it was the couple in the middle, the Esparza and Wharton fight was like just a little lull there. And obviously it's late at night for me, so I'm trying to stay awake. And then we got to the main card, and it blew up again. But congrats to Olenek, because honestly, I had him as one of the big dogs on the card, and he's proved me wrong. And I'm sure a lot of people lost some money betting on Werdum there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the next one after that was the Pettis versus Cowboy. And first I want to ask, who did you score in that fight? Who did you have winning?
I weren't actively scoring it, but I weren't too bothered by Pettis winning. I know I picked Cerrone, but I thought it was nip and tuck. It kind of looked like two guys who were a bit past the best, and they didn't exactly. Neither man totally went for it. They were kind of outpointing each other. But I've heard a lot of people saying Cerrone won, so. But it weren't one of them where I thought, anyone got robbed. It was just
reasonably.
It was just one of them where. anyone. What did you think?
Well, I originally had Pettis, and I thought Pettis was going to win. And then during the fight, I was scoring for Cowboy. I thought Cowboy was up on him. It was really close. Like, I'm not mad at the decision. It could have gone either way. But I did think Cowboy did enough to get the win. And yeah, he surprised me a lot. I didn't think he'd look that good. I thought it'd be a repeat of the first one, but it wasn't. So props to Cowboy for that.
Yeah, I was expecting him just to be a little bit more aggressive and kind of go for it. Like have a bit of a chip on his shoulder because everyone's doubting him after the Conor McGregor loss. I thought he'd go for it a little bit more, but it was just one of them fights where anyone could have won that one. And afterwards, I seen Dan Hardy calling Pettis out, which is a fun fight. I think for them type of guys now, wins and losses don't really matter. You just put them in, have a good scrap, and just try and get a bonus, something like that, because it really doesn't matter. I know Cowboys on a 4-fight losing streak, but it's all against good guys. If you drop him down a level, he's going to beat everyone. So stay at that level, keep having fun fights, and hopefully see them again.
Yeah. So the Jeremy Stevens Calvin Kattar fight originally was meant to be at 145, but then Jeremy Stevens missed weight by 5.5 pounds or 4.5 pounds.
4.5.
Yeah, he missed by a big amount. So I didn't even think that fight would end up happening, but it did happen, and Kattar knocked him out beautifully with that elbow.
Well, with everything that was going on, I kind of expected more fighters to miss weight, so it actually just makes him look bad. He might have, there's so much going on. He could have just had problems training, cutting weight. So I can't give him, cut him a bit of slack on that one. And he did actually look good. He came in, he looked good, and he went for Calvin. And Calvin, I was like, I'd picked Calvin quite big, I think. But I was worried that in the first round because he weren't doing too good at all. And I know he's got brilliant boxing, but he weren't using. He was getting hunted down, and I think it was more about just dealing with the storm that was coming his way, and then just picking his shots. And then in the end, when he actually did it, his boxing was beautiful, and he's just nailing it with nice shots. And then the final one to finish it was just perfect. It was brilliant knockout.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of knockouts, straight after that, Francis Ngannou came and did what Francis Ngannou does and knocked out Jairzinho Rozenstruik.
Yeah, it was. Although it was so brutal and so devastating, it's kind of what you expect from him now. It's like that's what he does. He just comes in and bulldozes people. But it was just, to me, I think he was one of the biggest underdogs on the cards, Rozenstruik, and I think there's a reason for that because in the end, he's a 10-fight novice, and he's going in against Francis, who's fought for it. Guys like Stipe and Cain Velasquez, and there was just a big jump to be taken from Overeem to Ngannou, and it just told. And while Ngannou was winging punches in Rozenstruik, he's an accomplished striker, but he didn't do anything right. He just backed up and just left himself open for one. But it was absolutely brutal. And when he's out on the cage and he's just all slumped and he's still eating punches, and it's just, he's a scary man. And I'm standing by my pick. I think Ngannou's the next champ. I think DC or Stipe, he beats both of them now. I think he's there. What did you make of that one?
Well, when the exchange started, when he come at him and pressed forward with those huge shots, I thought, because Rozenstruik was throwing back as well, and I was watching it and I was like, either one of them could knock the other one out. But it was obviously Francis that just has the bigger reach and the stronger fists and put him out, And I wasn't really surprised. I thought that would probably happen. I knew one of them was going to knock the other out, but I was leaning toward Francis, definitely. And I agree with your take that he'd probably beat Stipe or DC. DC's best hope is to wrestle him. Stipe's best hope is to wrestle him, And he reckons he's trained a lot, worked a lot on that since he's lost to Stipe. We just haven't seen it because his fights have gone for so little time, like all of them.
And every round's got to start standing up. So I can see DC dominating on the floor, but then at some point he's going to have to stand up, and at some point he might tire, and it'll just be interesting when that happens. I do think there is a kink in the armour, whereas he does just ball forward and he's not really worried about taking a shot. But I'm not necessarily sure we've seen him actually take some big shots. So it'd be interesting if someone can actually, slip back on him and land something big and see what his reaction is. Because it'd be mad to see someone like Ngannou, so big, so strong, actually flapping around a bit. But that was brilliant. It's just classic Ngannou, and That's what I mean. He can be ready to fight in a month or something like that because he's took zero damage. He might have a sore hand from punching someone so hard, but that's about it.
Yeah, I agree. And then after that was the Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz, where Cejudo retired after his victory. I didn't see that coming.
I don't think he's retired. I think that's a some type of contract move, or I don't know. He wants more money. I'd be gutted to see him go because he's literally at his top of his game. I think he wipes everyone out. I think he's brilliant. I was never. I understand people love Mighty Mouse, but what Cejudo is doing is what Mouse should have done during his time. He's stepping up divisions. He's taking on all comers. He's fighting everyone who's in front of him, and he's going for the big names. And I think UFC will give him a big, chunk of change, and he'll probably jump up and fight Volkanovski or someone else next. And it'll just I don't think we've got Cejudo for too much longer, but he's got a couple more fights, and he can be one of the best ever. He already is on his way, but he needs a few more fights to actually reach that status, and it'd be a shame to see him go now.
I disagree. I think he walks.
Do you think?
I think he's done. I reckon I don't think they'll give him the money he's asking for, and I think he picks up and leaves because, look at what he's achieved. He's done enough in his career that he can probably walk away and do something else now. But I think you're right in the sense that it is a negotiation tactic. He's trying to get more money out of them. I just don't think they'll bite. Cause
I do think he's one of the biggest draws though in the UFC right now. I think Izzy, maybe Cejudo, and then you've got obviously Khabib and Conor and people like that. But Cejudo, he's got to be like one of the biggest ones. I know he's in a smaller weight class, but he's jumping up and he's talking a lot of shit. So it depends how much money he wants. But then I've also been hearing, like obviously in his past, he retired from wrestling at 21 years old. So he might just be one of them guys who likes to go out on top. And what more can he do now? Unless he fights Volkanovski or Aldi, although there's no one there, he's not going to be fighting Jan or Sterling. There's no real motivation. They're not going to do anything for his legacy, and I think that's what he's all about. So I'm hoping he stays. I wouldn't be surprised. I do think it. I think UFC will want to give him the money. I think they'd be stupid not to. I think he just people love to hate him or love to love him or whatever they do, but he's doing something right. So I hope to give him the money. I'm not sure.
I don't think he's as big a draw as you seem to think he is. Look at his first title defense against TJ Dillashaw. That was on ESPN Plus. It wasn't even a pay-per-view.
I know. I just think that's the way UFC work. Though I think anything that's flyweight is going on. It's not going to go on pay-per-view. I think that's just the way they think. I think as he jumps through the divisions and he's taking on people like Dominic Cruz. And I think the pay-per-view buy numbers are coming out now, and it's 700,000, which I know a lot. I know lots attributed to Justin and Tony, but Cejudo's got to take a lot of credit. We heard all the shit he was talking last week, and all the shit he does talk, and I think he does drum attention. It'll be interesting because if the UFC don't offer the money, then that tells you what type of draw he is, and I'm wrong. I tend to think he's a big draw. He is someone I would go pay to watch. And there's not a lot of them fighters who you'd literally pay the pay-per-view money to go and watch. So, but the actual fight, it kind of... Dominic Cruz impressed me. He kind of looked like his old self, not 100%, but he did. I expected him kind of to get bulldozed over, and he didn't, and he was there. But I think the result was inevitable. No matter what the stoppage, whatever you make of it, I do think Cejudo was on his way to winning. It was just... Yeah.
He had the perfect game
plan. Make of it?
Well, Dominic Cruz's mobility and his elusiveness is his best trait. And from the get-go, from the bell, Cejudo was attacking the legs, limiting his mobility. That was the perfect game plan against Dominic Cruz. And, it paid off. Eventually he slowed down and he could land the big shots. Ended up landing that knee/kick that put him down and jumping on him and ground and pounding. I didn't think the stoppage was too early. I think could have let it go a little bit longer, but I was happy with the stoppage. It was right at the end of the round. He was going to recover anyway, so... Wouldn't have been. Yeah, it was more the fact that it was 2 seconds away, and he the thing is, they always say people are getting up, but he's only allowed to get up because the referee stepped in for him. He weren't standing up when the referee stepped in. So it's one of them. I didn't hate it. I thought it was, you could have let it go, and he would have been able to take a few more punches, but it's up to the referee, and it's better to take a few two punches than a few too many. So I didn't mind that at all. I think he would have won in that, the next round anyway. He would have got him. And the thing about that Cruz style is
he's so, herky jerky. He kind of dips into things, and he's just like zigged when he should have zagged there, and he just ended up getting nailed with a knee. But it's very similar. Like, I think it's hard to like put people away at them weights as well. Like, Cejudo, he's hitting him with everything he's got. He's need him in the head, and he just still can't put him away. So at some point, you just need the ref to step in and just be like, okay, you've took enough. What did you make of his comments afterwards, saying the referee smelled like booze and
Sore loser, that's what I thought. I thought he was really just trying to take digs at the ref for saving him, I thought he was done. Honestly, I don't think it was too early a stoppage. I guess you could have let him go, but wasn't a bad stoppage. And for him to make those comments about Keith Peterson's just a bit left of centre, yeah.
It's crazy because he took the Garbrandt loss so well. Like, he come out and he gave a brilliant speech, and then he just did seem so salty. And you can understand, because if he doesn't feel like he's done and he's been hit in the head a million times, he might be saying crazy stuff. Yeah. But I'd like to see him fight again. I really would. I think he could still beat a lot of the top guys in the division. I think Definitely. Maybe Jan would be maybe a tough fight, but a lot of other guys he can beat. And if that title's vacant, I don't get why he won't be fighting for it again, because he did put up a good show. He weren't terrible or anything like that. He looked like his old self. Just Cejudo is just brilliant, and I think all this distraction about the referee takes away from his performance, and like he's just knocked Dominic Cruz out. So whether you like it or not, that's what he's done. And props to Cejudo. Hopefully sees Cruz again.
Has to be Sterling versus Jan for that vacant belt if it's vacant. That's the fight to make. There's no other fight. That is the fight for the belt. So
I'm a massive Sterling fan as well. I think he's harshly overlooked. I think Jan, while he's a brilliant fighter, but his biggest win's Uriah Faber, who's 40 and coming out of retirement. So I think he's got more work to do. So Sterling against either Cruz or Jan, I don't really mind. But I think Jan's gonna be the champion. It's just he needs to prove it a bit more. I don't think that win over Uriah Faber is particularly impressive.
Yeah. So if he beats Sterling, that's enough for me. Give him the belt, I think that's the matchup to make.
Yeah.
They both deserve it. Jan's coming off that win over Faber, but obviously he's got all this traction behind him. Everyone thinks he's the next one. And Sterling's just been at the top for so long, you can't deny him a shot, So that's the fight to make. So the next one was the main event between Gaethje and Tony. And I thought I was wrong with my prediction completely. I thought if it went to later rounds, Tony was going to have it, but that wasn't the case. Justin just dominated the fight from start to finish. He was very composed. He didn't take any big risks to land big power shots. He was landing power shots the whole time, but Tony's jaw is something else. But yeah, he didn't put himself in danger at any point in the fight other than that one uppercut that was beautiful. I reckon if there was 30 more seconds of that round, that would have been it. But he recovered well from that, and he come back and won the fight.
Yeah, he looked brilliant, and I picked him early. I picked Gaethje early. I thought I didn't. Obviously, we've seen Tony go down a few times, and he's been rocked and things like that. I didn't understand how good his chin was. He's clearly got the best chin in MMA for me.
100%.
Because Justin, he weren't just throwing bombs. He was throwing 100% power punches, trying to knock him out every punch. And then after 2 rounds, I was kind of watching, thinking, this is where Tony, Justin's got to get tired. He's got to get tired. He's throwing 100% power every shot, and he's hitting him, but he's not moving, and he didn't look like he was going to move. So it was obviously I picked Justin, and I thought he'd get it done early. But as the fight went on, and then you're watching the third, and Tony's starting to get out of his get back into his groove and land a few things, but then he come out the fourth, and I think they could have stopped it in that round. Justin was so dominant. I didn't think he had this type of performance in him. For me, it's one of the best title-winning performances I've ever seen. I'd rate it right up there with Conor beating Eddie Alvarez. He was so dominant. He beat the brakes off him, and then in the end, it was just it needed to be stopped because Tony just weren't there anymore. But props to Justin Gaethje. I'm really actually excited to see him go in with Khabib now, because he showed that he's not just one, he's probably 2 or 3 levels above what I actually thought he was. I thought he was just a brawler, but he's clearly got the gas tank. That's not even off a full camp. He's went 5 rounds off of throwing leather all night. Yeah.
So you want to the fight that Conor McGregor has been talking about on Twitter is him versus Gaethje now. All day he's been tweeting about how he should fight Gaethje, and I suppose he just wants to insert himself and get that next shot. Would you prefer to see Conor versus Gaethje or Khabib versus Gaethje? Because personally, I want them to stick to what the interim belt's supposed to mean and do the Khabib versus Gaethje fight. But as a fan, I'd like to see Gaethje and Conor go at it. You know,
I'd like that. I do think it is a style. It's a bad style matchup. I think Conor for Gaethje, because Conor's not going to be there to hit with leg kicks. He's not gonna just eat punches. He's gonna be banging you in return. So I think they're both tough matchups for Gaethje. You just take Khabib and try and get a belt, because he can beat him. He's got the wrestling pedigree. He's got the power. He's got a lot of advantages in that fight. So I think that's the fight they're gonna make. I think Conor's just trying to stay busy, stay relevant. I think the fight for Conor is probably Masvidal or Poirier, if he wants to actually be taken serious in the 155 division.
Yeah,
that's the fight. I hope we see Tony. He didn't look at it while Justin did look great. Tony didn't look like Tony looked hesitant. He was just eating the punches and not reacting and not knowing what to do. So I did say beforehand when I was speaking to you that he hadn't really fought the top caliber guys lately. He'd been fighting the guy like Pettis and Cerrone, who aren't quite there, and that was a real test. And it's just such a shame, because he's done so much, and he's basically a champion, and he's never actually had the full belt. So hopefully it was just a blip, and he can come back and still manage to get something going, because he's just been absolutely shafted by bad luck and the UFC and injuries, and hopefully he comes back.
The biggest thing I took from Tony's performance was, in all these other fights, he adapts so well to what's going on and changes his game plan to find the win. In this one, he was getting beaten. He was still there. He was still in the fight until the 5th round, when he got hit with that. I can't remember. He got hit with something and touched his face and just looked like he was done, and that's when they stopped it. But he didn't change his game plan. He sat there and striked with Gaethje for all the rounds. I thought he'd at least try a takedown at some point, or try one of those Imanari rolls on the leg, or just do something else, because all these other fights he adapts. This one he just stuck to his plan, even though it wasn't working. He just stuck to it, and I think that's his downfall.
I didn't really know what his plan was. He was just standing there. He weren't even putting too much pressure on. There was a few brief moments where he put it on him, but a lot of times just standing there. And I think maybe he got hurt early, and and he just, his mind went scrambled, because he weren't reacting. He weren't doing what he usually does. And then obviously, you've got Dana saying 2 weight cuts in a month doesn't help. He's just probably, and he's been in camp for almost a year, so yeah. I think he might just be a bit overtrained, a bit tired, things like that. But he took such a beating, and I think his corner should have really threw the towel in a bit earlier. It shouldn't be up to Herb Dean to be doing that. I think his corner should save him for another day, because he's not particularly a one-punch knockout artist. No. So how is he going to win it by round 4? How is he going to win that fight?
Yeah.
But props to Gaethje, because honestly that was so impressive, and I just didn't think he had it in him. I honestly didn't, and I'd picked him all week. I'd told everyone who's listening he's going to knock him out. I just didn't see it happening like that. Once it got to the 3rd round, I was like, oh, he's in trouble now. And then the 4th, and then the 5th, and you're just like, I didn't think he had that. So he seems to be the complete package now. He seems to be the guy. He seems to have everything, because I think that tiring, he tired against Alvarez and Poirier, and then he got stopped, and there was just no sign of it. So credit to him for going away and working on that, and he come back so good.
Yeah, and I mean, I looked at some old Khabib fights, and the biggest trouble he had, the closest fight Khabib's had, is the fight against Tebow, where he just couldn't take him down. The entire fight, Khabib didn't land one takedown. He tried for every single round. He won the fight in decision because he was dominant wrestling, but he could not take Tebow down, and that was his biggest problem. And he was getting tired towards the end of it. So if Gaethje can stop his takedowns, that's huge. That's going to help. And Gaethje's a much better striker than Tebow. He's got way more knockout power. If he can land that knockout punch, if he can stop the takedowns and land that knockout punch, he's going to be the new champ.
Yeah, I think that's all he's got to do. As much as I respect Khabib, he's kind of a one-trick pony, because that is his thing. He takes you down, he batters you, and he submits you. If he can't get you down, don't be fooled just because he dropped McGregor. He's not a talented striker at all. And Gaethje, if he's standing up for Gaethje for any amount of time, he's going to be getting pinged. And Khabib has been, a little wobble a couple of times. Michael Johnson got him. Poirier had a little shook. So Yeah, it's just all about stopping the takedown. And while people they speak about Gaethje's wrestling, he doesn't use it. So I've never seen him use his wrestling in MMA. So I actually don't know how good of a wrestler he is. I heard him speaking saying he will get taken down by Khabib. So I don't know if they've trained together or something like that. But yeah, he just needs to. I think for him to win that fight, he's just got to deal with the storm and then come back and just because as we seen with Ale Quintet, as the rounds went on, he couldn't get him to the floor anymore. So maybe it's just wrestling takes a lot out of you. So if he can just get through a couple of rounds, he might be able to pull something off. I'm very excited about that one. And like as we were speaking about McGregor, I'm actually more excited to see him against Khabib because he's earned it and he's gone through someone like Tony Ferguson. So it would just feel like he's not wanting to be a champion if he takes on Conor McGregor. Now, why would you take on Conor McGregor other than to make money? Whereas you can make.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, but as we see with Cowboy, you don't even necessarily make big money because he didn't make a lot to fight McGregor. You've got to beat him, and then you make the money in the rematch. Yeah, so Khabib, Gaethje, can't wait, and it'll probably be soon. It'll probably be in a few months, so we haven't even got to wait long.
Yeah, the biggest casualty this weekend, in my opinion, was that Tony versus Khabib matchup, though, because everyone's been waiting that for years and years, and we might still see it, but it's going to be in the future now. You know, I really don't think Tony should have taken this fight. I think he should have sat and waited.
I know, but it's just he's not that type of guy, is he? He's just not someone to sit and wait, and he's had to sit and wait because he's been injured and he's had Khabib pulling out on him a few times and things like that. So he's about 36, 37, so it's not the time, you know, to be waiting. He needs to be out there making money and you know, cementing his legacy. And it's just a shame. It is a shame, but he's still talented enough to get, and I don't think he'd have to do much to get a shot. Maybe they match him with McGregor, he beats McGregor, and then he goes in for another shot. He's still not a million miles off getting that Khabib fight. It's just an absolute shame that he's not getting it right now because he does deserve it. But then again, Gaethje's just battered him, so
yeah,
what am I saying?
Absolutely, but I think if they do, which I don't think they will, if they did the Conor versus Tony fight, absolutely the winner of that will get the next shot. But the thing with that is, after seeing what Gaethje did to Tony, I before this, I was 100% Tony will beat Conor. Tony will submit him, he'll batter him and just win on a decision. But after seeing what Gaethje did, if Tony fights the same way he did and doesn't mix up his game plan, goes in there and strikes with Conor, it's going to end up the same way, sadly.
Yeah, the only thing you've got to question is Conor's cardio. Can he do that for 5 rounds? Can he do what Gaethje did for 5 rounds? I don't think he can. And Tony, if he smells any type of weakness, that's the thing with Gaethje. He didn't show any type of tiredness. So Tony had nothing to thrive on. Conor, when he's tired, he looks visibly tired. His arms come down. He looks fucked. And then Tony's going to jump on that, and he's going to love that, and he's going to get him. For that fight, I'd always picked Conor to do him just because I think Tony's so hittable. He will get knocked out. And although his chin was brilliant the other night, his chin's not going to be that good anymore. I think a Conor fight would just be the wrong fight for him to come back to. But he's earned it, so if he wants to come back against someone like Conor, yeah, give him it.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, do you want to start on the card for this Wednesday, is it?
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah, the Jacksonville first card, because there's 2 this week. We got one Wednesday and then one again on Saturday, so it's a big one. And this card, the main card, starts with Marvin Vettori versus Carl Robertson. And I'll let you start with this one.
I'm actually quite a fan of Vettori. I like style. I like the way he's very vocal. He's obviously just a guy from Italy and from Europe, and sometimes them type of guys, they fade into the background. They don't get the attention that they deserve. But I think he's a very good fighter. He had that split decision loss to Adesanya, so he can kind of just piggyback off that all the way to the top as long as he keeps winning. And I am picking him to win. I think he'll decision it. I think he'll just be a bit too slick. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to him. I'm looking forward to seeing how far he can go because he's got the makings to be a potential star over in Europe. He just needs to get the high profile wins now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a good matchup because Robertson's a former Glory kickboxer, so he's got that high-level striking as well. And one thing I noticed with Vettori in his last fight is the speed of his hands. Like, his punching speed and his striking speed really seem to have kicked up a notch since that match with Israel that he lost. So I do agree with you. I think this will be a win for Vettori. And I'm going to go Vettori as well. I think it will come by a decision, though. I don't think either one of these guys finishes the other. I think it's just going to be a striking match for 3 rounds, and then one of them will take it.
Yeah, that's how I see it. I think it'll be close. It'll be close for 3 rounds, and it'll be nip and tuck. But I think Vettori will get it, and he'll get it quite clearly. Yeah, on to the next one.
Yeah, so this one is we'll see Ray Borg coming up to 135 to fight Ricky Simone. And the question I have about this one, I'm not too sure, maybe you know, has Ray Borg fought at 135 before, or is this a new thing?
No, he's always up and down, isn't he? Because he's got a massive issue with making weight, and it doesn't seem to matter what weight he fights at, he seems to miss it. So he's fought at 125, missed that. He's fought at 135, missed that.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so he's fought, and he just keeps jumping between them. He's obviously got an issue with weight. I do rate him as a fighter. That kind of takes away. That's kind of if you speak about Ray Borg to me, that's all I remember him for. He misses weight a lot, which isn't great. I think he's gonna probably lose this one. I was actually quite high on Ricky Simon before he come up against Teixeira, and then he's had another loss after that. But this is a good level test. I think it's a good test to see, are you actually cut out for this level of opponent? Because Ray Borg's a great fighter, and if he's not on the level, he won't win. But I think he's still got it. He had a fight tonight last time against Font, who's a beast as well. I think hopefully Borg makes weight, the fight goes on, and I think Simon will probably, decision as well. I think that's how he'll get it.
Yeah, well, Font's a top 10 guy, so losing to Font's not like a blemish in your record, And Faber obviously is like an all-time great coming back. He did catch him though. I thought Ricky Simone was going to win that fight going in, but then Faber caught him and put him away. So props to Faber. I don't think that that Ricky Simone's looked bad in any of these fights, particularly bad anyway. I think his striking is really good and his takedown defense is really good, which is going to be a big issue for Ray Borg in this one. So I see Ricky Simone getting this one too.
Yeah, I do rate him highly, and it's a shame to see him on the back of 2 losses. But yeah, he needs the win though. He needs the win. It's a big fight, and I'm sure he knows that. 3 in a row. Ray Borg, I would say, is probably the easiest fight of the 3 he's gonna have. So yeah, he needs this win just to show he's still a top guy, and then he can just go on and have another big fight and potentially win that one.
Yeah, well, you'd think, because Borg was booked to fight Marlon Vera on the April 18th card before it was rebooked. And so you'd think his camp for that would have been focused a lot around the grappling. And now he's going into a striker like Ricky Simone. So he hasn't had too long to prepare for him, I can't imagine. So that's another factor that I think favours Ricky Simone in this one.
Looking forward to see that one, actually.
Yeah, so then after that we got Alexander Hernandez versus Drew Dober.
This is another guy who really needs the win. He needs to show that he's still a top guy. And Drew's always no joke. Last time out, he absolutely murked that guy, the one who looks like Kelvin.
Can't say his name.
Yeah, he absolutely knocked him out cold. And but I expect Alexander Hernandez to have a bit too much. I kind of put this on the Nico Price, Luque level, where I just expect him just to be a level above. And he's only 27. He's not a million miles away from being a contender. So if you want to be a contender, take out guys like Drew Dober, and I think he's got to take them out, quite easily and make a statement, because he talks a lot of shit, but then he needs to go in back and up now. So I think he will as well. I think he'll go in, and I think he'll stop Dober within a couple of rounds.
Yeah, I don't see him getting a stoppage. Hernandez, he lost to Cowboy, but then he came back and beat Trinaldo, but it was via decision I guess he was a pretty dominant performance by him. A lot of his wins, other than that debut knockout he got over, I can't remember who that was, but aside from that, a lot of his wins have come by decision. So I just don't think he is going to get a stoppage against Drew Dober. But I think Drew Dober could probably get a stoppage against him, because I doubted Dober going into that fight against Hapkaras, or however you say his name. But I was really impressed with him and how he got that finish. So I'm high on Drew Dober right now, and I can't pick against him, not in this one.
So you're going for Dober in this,
I think Dober finishes him probably early, first or second.
See, when it's such a big moment for like up and coming stars like Hernandez, I always tend to back them because I just I expect them to rise to the occasion. He knows what's on the line right now, and that's why I'm picking him to actually get a finish because I think it won't be obviously a clean knockout punch. I think he'll just swarm him, just maybe have a bit too much. But I'm also high on Dober, so I do know it's a big fight, and it's just I expect Hernandez to be a contender at some point. And if you're going to be a contender, you're going to beat guys like Dober, so that's why I'm backing him.
Yeah, I mean, in his debut, I think he beat number 13. Like, so he's versed ranked opponents since he joined the UFC, and he's definitely a confident striker. He's very good. He's got that I'd want to say TJ Dillashaw-esque striking style, but I just don't think he has the stopping power to finish Dober. I think Dober has the power to finish him. So this will be an interesting one to watch.
Yeah, that's one of my pick for the cards. I think we'll probably get Ivan pick and fight tonight. I think that might be it.
Yeah.
Alexander, for as long as it goes, I think they're going to throw down and it'll be a great fight.
Absolutely. So the co-main event is Ben Rothwell versus Ovince St. Preux at heavyweight, obviously. So this is OSP's first fight at heavyweight. And judging from his previous performances, we pretty much know what Ovince St. Preux is going to do. He's going to take you down and choke you out with that Von Flute choke. So I think that's probably what's going to happen here. Obviously, I think OSP is underrated for the amount of power he has in his hand. He has stopping power in his hand. He throws heavy punches, whereas Rothwell usually just throws a lot of volume, you know? So I think even on the feet, OSP probably... I think he could find a stoppage there, or on the ground, obviously. But yeah, what do you think about this one?
This is I actually had to sit and think about this one, like, because I honestly don't know what to expect. I don't know how OSP is going to look at heavyweight. I don't know. Yeah. So if he's, I think the main factor for me is if he carries some speed up. And Ben Rothwell, he's not the fastest guy. You know, he's not. He's a big. You know, he is what he is. And if OSP can just have a bit of quickness on him, I think that's how he's going to win. Otherwise, it could be a long night, and Ben Rothwell, he's a big guy, and he can just put it on you. And yeah, I honestly don't have much of a clue on this one. I'm just really excited to see OSP at that weight. I do. It's interesting to see these light heavyweights stepping up who I don't necessarily think are, you know, particularly big. Latifi and OSP and people like that. So it's interesting to see how he does. It's a good first fight to get in the door, but if he doesn't beat Ben Rothwell, it'll just be back down to light heavyweight because you've got to be getting past guys like Ben Rothwell if you want to be considered a contender as well. So I'm gonna pick OSP. I think he might decision him. I think he might just get off the punches a little earlier. I'm hoping we see another Von Flute choke. I do enjoy watching that, but I'm not expecting too much. I'm just excited to watch it, just to find out what some of these fights I can, you know, vision them and how they're going to go. This one I don't have a clue, so I'm just excited to sit back and just enjoy it.
Yeah, well,
but if I have to pick, it's going to be OSP for sure. By decision.
By decision. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think you'll get a finish at some point in the 3 rounds. But I mean, either way, I think OSP wins this. I don't see Rothwell winning. You know, the fight I would have loved to have seen OSP come up to heavyweight for? Against Cyril Gain. I reckon Cyril Gain versus OSP is an awesome fight, and that's what he should have come up for. But obviously, Ben Rothwell's a bigger name because Cyril Gain's obviously kind of new to the sport. I think it's 3 fights now. But yeah, we'll see how this goes. I agree with you. OSP is going to get the win.
Yeah, it's a weird fight. And I'm just going to watch it, enjoy it, and not think about it too much because I was out in a pickle before trying to think I don't know how this is going to go, what's going to happen. So it's kind of nice to have them fight every so often.
Yeah. Well, the main event is Anthony Smith versus Glover Teixeira, if I said that right, which I think I did.
Yeah, you did.
So, I mean, Teixeira has been on like a bit of a tear since he's lost to Anderson, and going to Smith, I favour Smith in this matchup just because I doubted Smith against Jones. Well, he obviously lost, but I didn't think he'd do as well as he did against Jones. I doubted Smith against, who did he fight last time? Gustafsson. Yeah. I thought for sure Gustafsson would have his number, but he didn't. So now I think I'm going to have to pick Smith in this one.
No, I'm going Smith all day. I think this is a relatively easy fight for him. I know Glover's on a bit of a tear, but he's not doing what Smith's doing. He's not beating guys like Volkan and Gustafsson. Smith's top guy. I weren't particularly impressed with him against Jones. I actually expected him to do better. I think he kind of went into his shell and got beat by the moments more than the actual fighter. So I'm expecting him to, come out and deal with Glover quite handily. I think he might be able to get him to the mat and get a choke, or he'll just dominate the fight. I just don't see Glover winning. I don't think Glover's anywhere near the level he used to be. So I think it'll be easy night work for Smith. I'm hoping as well, because I want to see him back in the mix. I don't think he can rematch Jones, because there's nothing there besides a bit of animosity. But I think he can fight some top guys, and hopefully Jones eventually vacates the belt, and then I can see Smith being the next champion.
I think a good fight for Smith, if he gets past Teixeira, would be someone like Santos or who just fought Jones? Reyes. One of those guys that are just in the same position he is. Fought Jones, lost, looking for a big fight, but don't really want to fight the up-and-coming guys, which he seems to do, but the other two... I mean, is Santos still injured? I haven't seen his name thrown around in a year now.
Yeah, I think he is injured, isn't he? He really tore his leg up against Jones, so I think they were speaking about a year he'd be out. He's been throwing his name in, saying he wants Jones next, but it'll be, I think, it'll probably be the best fight to make is if it's going to be Jones against John, and then you can just make a little tournament between these guys. Absolutely. And then Volkan's obviously still in there as well, so it's an interesting little mix. It's just John Jones is so good. It's going to be hard to get him, and even if you do get him, you won't get the decision anyway. So, but yeah, Smith, he just needs a couple more wins, because he weren't particularly impressive against Jones. So, and I think he's definitely going to go and dominate Glover. I just don't see how Glover can win that one. I think he's probably in his 40s now. He's well past his best. He's got a few wins, but they're not against top guys. So, yeah, I'm Smith all day. I'd put all my money on it.
Yeah, I agree, Smith all day. I think the fight everyone wants to see for Jones, even though we don't want to go too far into this, is obviously we want to see Jones go to heavyweight and fight Francis. Yeah. Especially after what we just saw Francis do. If Jones can go up there and defeat Ngannou in the way he's been performing recently, it would just be something else,
Yeah, and I know they put a lot of people love to see people defend belts, and I also do like that. But my thing is, I love to see people go through the weight classes. I think it's the biggest test of someone's ability to sacrifice size and just put yourself in. You're putting shooting for the stars and things like that. Jones does seem one of them people where he seems to know he'll be a bit outsized, and that's his main advantage on all of his opponents, is he's got size. Obviously we've seen him struggle with Gustafsson, the first guy he come out against the same size guy. So it'll be interesting, and he'll have to do it eventually, because he wants to get paid, doesn't he, before he gets retired? So he'll have to do it. And I think he'll do fine. I want to see him go now and just let all these other light heavyweights battle it out between themselves, because they're all on the same level. It's just Jones is a little one ahead of them, and he's not motivated to fight them. And then would you rather step up to heavyweight and get knocked out by one of these absolute beasts, or would you rather just stay at light heavyweight and end up losing to someone who's not really on your level? And I think he just needs to go in and take the risk now.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else you want to touch on this card, or are we all good?
No, happy. I was looking at the undercard. I know they put it together on last notice, but it's not like the most exciting card. But I'm just glad that we've got Sutton back, and then we've got another one Saturday, and then another one after that. So, back in the swing of things. Glad to be doing these podcasts and actually having something to talk about. So really looking forward to them. Well, I'm sure we'll hook up again to speak about it after fights and preview the next one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll speak to you again later this week to preview the next card.
See you later, guys.
Bye.